All right, so a couple of drive-through signs for Agua Caliente Fuel for the Java Caliente drive-through. So single-sided slide-in plex faces. You got two of them. Let's do the lay of the land here. 090 parts. You got inner frame, outer hard candy shell, backers, and jigs for the inner frames. We'll go over the internals. This is where we're going to put the switch in the power supply. You got 1/4-inch plate for the post and the internal there. A couple of white on whites and white acrylics. So get these to First Shop. They'll get those all vinyled up. So you're just going to start with like we do, you're just going to weld together the inner frame using the jigs and everything. And then you're going to go ahead and lords on the hard candy shell outer, and that'll give us our retainer for the slide-in face. Before you do the lords, though, you want to do the internal plate that is internal to the frame, the inner frame. So you'll see that forward has less meat right here than the backside, but I believe the clecos are directional anyway, so I don't think you could put it in wrong. I got 3/16 clecos there. So you can choose to either lords this in or just put some tacks, but this doesn't need to be like, super burned in. Watch the heat, or like I say, just lords is fine. And then once that's in there, then go ahead and put your hard outer candy shell. You're going to do, like I say, the sides and the bottom are permanent. That way, if you're sitting in your hoopty, you won't see any screws. It'll be nice and clean. And then we'll do removable up top with screws and slide in face from the top. So once you have that all done, then the frame itself extends past just enough to where the backer will sit in there nice. So you'll have the little cavity, and so you'll just go ahead and lords the backer onto the frame, the inner frame there. And once that's in there, then that's all done. And then prep can either decide to finish that seam and kind of make it look all clean or not. So anyway, so once you have that backer on, then you can start assembling put the innards in there. So the innards that are going to both be where the power supply and switch live will also be where you attach the white on white, and it creates the enclosure. So it's kind of all in one. So let's go over that enclosure here. It's going to start with 2 pieces of C channel. That's in red right here. The C channel will face out like we do. Get those bent up, and then you'll just do the backer piece here, which is just all the way around. Once you get that bent, then you'll go ahead and rivet that on and make sure the cavity goes towards the back. So the cavity goes out, so that way this backer piece is towards the middle. And that will be where you mount the bebe keystone, and you'll also put the switch plate and all that. So once you have the backer in there, rivet that on, then you can go ahead and rivet the top to the top of the backer and the bottom to the bottom of the backer. So the way this works is from a side view here. Let's get the white on white out of the way. You'll see that you put the flange up, and then that creates watershed. So that way water can't come in, and so if water comes in, it'll dribble, and it'll be also, you have this far recessed cavity here, so water will just kind of fall down. Hopefully that keeps water out of where the switch is. And then once you put the white on white in, that'll be like the closure. So, but before you install this thing, go ahead and caulk all seams really well. So caulk up to the top. Once you have the top on, caulk all the side seams, caulk everything up really well. And even on the top here, caulk on the inside of that C channel to the roof, to the top. That way it's nice and sealed up, and hopefully it will stand a chance of keeping water out of where the switch lives. Let's go over the switch thing. It's a little different than what we usually do. Usually, pretty much all city inspectors love our recessed switch idea. We've never had anybody, any city inspectors give us any kind of like, what's that? They're usually like, oh, that's pretty cool. Hidden switch, keeps it protected. The only person that's ever said anything was an Agua Caliente inspector on another sign. He had stuck his finger in there. I was like, what about this? What about that? So I went ahead and made up this little bird cage little thing, this little hidey hole that will kind of seal it up, hopefully, to the back. That way, if there's any questions, we'll keep them at bay. So the way that goes together is here, you're going to do a 1122. That'll be a 4-sided little box. and then you're just going to rivet this piece to the bottom, and the 2 clip corners will allow water to drain. And then what you're going to do is just lords this using the 2 holes for the switch plate, lords that onto the inside of the backer here. So that'll create a little protective little pocket where the switch will live. The switch will live right here. And that way, if you stick your finger in there, you know, it'll be kind of closed off, and that way bees won't live in there or whatever. So just look for that. It's a little different than what we do. And then once you get that in there, make sure all of this is done and caulked, then you're just going to use the C channels and you're going to lords this to the backer, just right in here. Now I know I have a caulk here. There's no way you're going to get a caulk gun. That was, you know, wishful thinking. But if you caulk all this before you put this in there, hopefully it'll stay nice and watertight. Because like I say, you will have your screws up here that'll let water dribble. So hopefully it stays out of the switch. Being that, you know, we do water test on every sign, don't we? Yes, we do. So anyway, yeah, so all that's good. Power will be going in there. So once you have all that done, you're going to obviously weld the plates to the post. Here's your cut list over here. You got your post, weld your plates. You can choose at this point, you're going to have to let power in somehow to the post. In order to do 18 inches minimum, you're going to have to do a slot around this area where the slot starts at 2 inches and goes up to around 5. That way they can run a sweep up. Now this will be a couple of 1.5-inch hole saws or 2-inch hole saws, and then kind of duck saw it out, kind of connect it. You know, it doesn't have to be pretty, just kind of hack it out. That will get you 18 inches minimum. Can't be higher because then they'll fail inspection. Now you can actually ask Jonathan about this, that maybe it'll be easier to just drill a hole in the base. Down here in the base plate, drill a hole, and yes, it'll make it go down deeper, but maybe they can just kind of run it down. It might be easier to just run it up if you put a big enough hole. So talk to Jonathan, see what he wants to do. If it's easier, you know, keep it through there, or just do a big hole on the bottom and they can run it up the bottom. So that's that. When it comes time to put this post on, once it's welded, you're not going to be welding nuts or anything. This is just 3/8 through bolts per the drawing. That's YJ right there, so it's structuraled out. So you're just going to use a through bolt and a nut, washer, all that. So you can choose to use lock nuts if you want, whatever. Probably put it all together before paint and just leave it, and paint can paint it and it can just stay together as one piece. Why not? So anyway, I think that does it. If you have any other questions, but it's pretty straightforward compared, you know, just what we usually do. So hit me up if you have any questions.